EOS headlines 11th April 2021. UN chief welcomes IMF and World Bank measures to address COVID-related debt crisis. The UN Secretary-General welcomed the steps announced by the International Monetary and Finance Committee, IMF, and the World Bank Group Development Committee to address debt crisis and other financial distress to economies arising from the COVID-19 pandemic, as a sign of hope and renewed multilateralism. Large issuance of special drawing rights, SDRs, were done, an instrument created by the International Monetary Fund to help supplement cash reserves for those most in need, and a reallocation of unused SDRs. Mr. Guterres has proposed a three-phased approach to address debt burdens: a debt standstill, targeted debt relief for the most vulnerable, and a reform of the international debt architecture. He said he was encouraged by the support given for the Debt Service Suspension Initiative, DSSI, which has provided $5 billion in temporary relief for vulnerable countries, and for the Common Framework for Debt Treatments, agreed by the G20 economies. Debt standstills and relief must be extended to countries that need it most, including middle-income countries, which are home to more than 60% of the world's poor, without creating stigma or compromising their sovereign ratings, said the statement. The Secretary-General called on all countries and institutions to join in a global effort to rethink the principles underpinning today's debt architecture, and urged action to complement existing instruments with more effective debt crisis resolution mechanisms. He expressed great encouragement over the IMF's and World Bank's emphasis on a sustainable, inclusive, smart and green recovery. Reports UN News. Low-income countries have received just 0.2% of all COVID-19 shots given. Although more than 700 million vaccine doses have been administered globally, richer countries have received more than 87%, and low-income countries just 0.2%. There remains a shocking imbalance in the global distribution of vaccines, said WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, speaking during the agency's regular briefing from Geneva. On average, in high-income countries, almost 1 in 4 people has received a vaccine. In low-income countries, it's 1 in more than 500. Let me repeat that, 1 in 4 versus 1 in 500. The Global Solidarity Initiative, COVAX, has also experienced a shortage of vaccines. While the mechanism has distributed some 38 million doses so far, it was expected to deliver nearly 100 million by the end of March. South America's largest country has recorded more than 340,000 deaths since the pandemic began, making it second only to the United States. Dr. Maria Van Kerkhove, WHO technical lead on COVID-19, added that while vaccines are a powerful tool, they alone will not end the pandemic. The trajectory of this pandemic around the world is going in the wrong direction, she said, referring to 6 consecutive weeks of increased cases and rising deaths. Reports UN News. COVID-19. India has administered more than 100 million doses of coronavirus vaccines amid a deadly second wave of infections. The country has been reporting an average of more than 90,000 cases of COVID-19 every day since 1st April. Everyone above the age of 45 is now eligible for jabs, which are available at vaccination centers and hospitals. Most of the doses have been given so far to frontline workers and people above the age of 60. India is the fastest country in the world to give 100 million doses, achieving the feat in 85 days, whereas the US took 89 days and China reached the milestone in 102 days, the Health Ministry said. The inoculation drive aims to cover 250 million people by July, but experts say the pace needs to pick up further to meet the target. The third phase, which began on 1st April, opened amid a sharp uptick in COVID-19 cases. On 4th April, India became the second country after the US to report 1 lakh new cases in a single day. More than half of those were confirmed in Maharashtra, which has India's largest city Mumbai as its capital. Experts say India's second wave is being fueled by people being less cautious. Since the pandemic began, India has confirmed more than 12 million cases and over 167,000 deaths. It's the third highest number of COVID-19 infections in the world after the United States and Brazil. India launched its vaccination drive on 16th January, but it was limited to healthcare workers and frontline staff. A sanitation worker became the first Indian to receive the vaccine. From 1st March, the eligibility criteria was expanded to include people over 60 and those who are between 45 and 59 but have other illnesses. The third phase of its vaccination drive, with everyone above the age of 45 eligible for the jab, was launched on 1st April. The country's drugs regulator has given the green light to two vaccines, one developed by AstraZeneca with Oxford University, Covishield, and one by Indian firm Bharat Biotech, Covaxin. Several other candidates are at different stages of trials. India also wants to scale up the drive quickly to stem the recent spike in cases. So it recently placed a temporary hold on all exports of the Oxford AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine, which is being made by India's largest vaccine manufacturer, the Serum Institute of India, SII. Serum says it has been providing 65 to 70 million doses every month to India, and exported a total of nearly an equal amount of doses since it began production early this year. Experts believe India should ramp up vaccination in areas of high transmission and in 5 states where elections are being held to prevent the virus from spreading. For decades now, India has been running one of the world's largest immunization programs that vaccinates tens of millions, including newborns and pregnant women, against various diseases. So experts believe India was well prepared for the challenge. But the uptake has been slow because of vaccine skepticism as well as a lack of awareness among the poor or in rural areas. Eligible people can now book their jabs online or walk in and register at vaccination centers. The government aims to use up to 500 million doses to cover 250 million priority people by the end of July. Interestingly, in some states, more women than men have been vaccinated. Who is paying for the vaccines? Vaccination is voluntary. State-run clinics and hospitals are offering free jabs, but people can also pay 250 rupees a dose at private facilities to get vaccinated. Starting 11th April, people can get paid jabs at private and state-run workplaces. The government is spending around $5 billion for free doses at state-run clinics, public health centers and hospitals. It has also bought millions of doses of 2 approved vaccines and provided funds to states for their vaccination programs. Have there been adverse events after vaccination? Vaccines come with side effects for some people. India has a 34-year-old surveillance program for monitoring such adverse events following immunization. Until early February, India reported 8,483 adverse events after vaccination. Most of these events were minor, anxiety, vertigo, giddiness, dizziness, fever, and pain, and all patients had recovered, the government said. The surveillance program has examined 617 cases of severe adverse events, including 180 deaths after vaccination until 29th March. It found the deaths happened in cases where the person had underlying conditions, including heart problems, high blood pressure and diabetes, reports the BBC. Myanmar coup. 80 people have been killed by Myanmar security forces in military crackdown in Bago. More than 600 people have been killed since last month's military coup. The military has resorted to increasing levels of violence to maintain its grip on power. Mass protests have been taking place across Myanmar, also known as Burma, since the military seized control of the Southeast Asian country on 1st February and declared a year-long state of emergency. The armed forces claimed there had been widespread fraud during a general election late last year which had returned elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi and her National League for Democracy (NLD) party to power. The Election Commission has dismissed this, reports the BBC. India reports record 152,879 new COVID-19 infections, the Health Ministry data showed on Sunday today, as a second wave of infections continued to surge and overwhelm hospitals in parts of the country. The 10 states including Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Rajasthan have shown a rise in the daily new cases. The number of new fatalities stood at 839, the most deaths in more than 5 months, taking the toll to 169,275. India's tally of more than 13.35 million cases is the third highest globally, behind only Brazil and the United States. The recovery rate has further dropped to 90.44%, the ministry said. Active COVID-19 cases in country stand at 11,08,087, while 1,20,81,443 people have recovered from the disease, reports the Reuters and the Times of India. Chopper carrying Lulu Group chairman M.A. Yusuf Ali, his wife and 5 others makes forceful landing in a marshy area by the side of the National Highway 66 on the outskirts of Kochi early Sunday morning today. The industrialist, the pilot, and all others in the chopper have been admitted to a private hospital with minor injuries. The chopper, belonging to Lulu Group, was forced to make a landing due to a technical issue around 8:30 am. Lulu Group is one of the biggest supermarket chains. It is headquartered in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. On Friday, Ali was honored with the highest civilian award in Abu Dhabi for his contribution to Abu Dhabi's business, industry and support to various philanthropic initiatives, the Lulu Group said in a statement. He awarded the honor by the Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, reports the Indian Express and Hindustan Times. Alibaba Group fined $2.75 billion by China for anti-monopoly violations. The Alibaba business empire has come under intense scrutiny in China since billionaire founder Jack Ma's public criticism of the country's regulator in October. Anti-Monopoly Probe has found that the e-commerce giant had abused its dominant market position for several years. The fine, about 4% of Alibaba's 2019 domestic revenues, comes amid a crackdown on technology conglomerates and indicates China's antitrust enforcement on internet platforms has entered a new era after years of laissez-faire approach, reports the Indian Express. India's GDP to grow 12.5% this fiscal year, IMF, reports the New Indian Express. 26 healthcare workers at AIIMS test COVID positive, only 3 had received vaccine, reports the Statesman. Delhi's situation worrisome, says Kejriwal as capital records over 10k new corona cases, reports the Hindustan Times. Rajasthan government imposes night curfew in 9 cities till April 30th to curb pace of COVID-19 infection, reports the DD News. Thank you. Please subscribe free to iIntelligence News to get updated important news regularly. Also, like and share if you find our videos really useful and informative. Bye for now. We'll see you in the next update.